We talked about our blueberry cream cheese bread. Now let's go behind bars with Major Antone Aguon of the Department of Corrections. Good morning, Major.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess first of all, I wanted to start with I was talking with Adriana, and you actually you testified in former Jotnia Mayor Blas's hearing that he had, where he's trying to get out of jail for the special election. And so I heard that's accurate, right? You did?
Yes, I was. I was at my office and we phoned in and participated on the telephone conference.
And so you were brought in to kind of talk about some of the things that Mayor Blas had brought up. I think he was crying about the conditions there at the Gotnian lockup. So what type of conversation did you have with the court during that hearing, Major?
Well, he just had some issues about his medical care, and he just felt that the medical care that he was receiving was not adequate. But we did get with our medical staff, and we sat down with the attorney and the representatives, and we went through the treatment that he was receiving within DOC, and what we were doing for him as far as his medical concerns, and that was presented to the court, and at the end of the day, the court accepted it and decided not to use a medical reason as far as not to release him.
And so
and they asked DOC what was our thoughts on it, and we said, we don't really, it's not our position on whether somebody gets released or not. That's really not our concern. My only concern on my part was, we didn't want them to be released because of something we allegedly did or not or did not do.
Right.
And so I wanted to make sure that was clear, that we were providing the medical care that he's entitled to. Whether he disagrees with what he was receiving or not, that's a different story. But based on the standards, we are providing that. And so at the end of the day, that was not used as a reason to release them, and which we're okay with, as long as our name is not thrown in there as a
tarnished,
reason why
right?
Tarnished, and why they let somebody out of jail.
How does that affect the way you treat somebody going forward? Because we had some of the inmates, make some noise this year, and there have been the allegations of retaliation that we've heard about. So when someone like former Mayor Blas goes on and says, I'm not getting they're not treating me like I get treated at St. Luke's or whatever, how does that temper the way you deal with them moving forward? Does it kind of keep you more on your toes, Major?
Well, it does. Of course, we get affected by it, but we just, continue to move forward. I mean, we are professionals in our job, and so we take their complaints and we refer it to the right people, and we make sure that, they're all being addressed. And no matter what we do, sometimes they just don't agree with it. But we just keep pressing on. We document everything. We make sure we're documenting what we're doing every step of the process, so that if we are challenged or if we are called to task on it, we have the documents to show what we are doing. And if it's determined that we're not doing something or we should be doing something else, then of course we go back and we revisit the issue and we attack it another way.
Maybe attack is not the right word.
Well, we address the issue another way,
yeah.
To make sure it's taken care of.
So, Major, about the incoming, have you guys ironed out all the kinks with the incoming that you had started with the mailing into the packages, and then you stopped it, and now we're back to...
Yes. All the packages, I believe there were, God, I don't have the numbers, almost 200 mail packages, I believe, that came in.
Right.
150, I believe, 155, maybe of mail packages. Parcel packages, that's all been taken care of, and it's been given to the inmates. We've also have the drive-through incoming that we've been doing in Manila, and that's been going on since May 25th, going on to June 5th. And I think as of yesterday, we've received over 250 different incoming hygiene, packets of personal hygiene and stuff for the various inmates.
Mm-hmm. Any
so it's going well.
Mm-hmm. Any contraband through the incoming, drive-through, over the fence?
Not well. Okay, so not through the incoming, the drive-through. But it's very quick. The family drive in. Their temperature is taken at the gate. They drive up. They don't get out of their vehicle. They hand the materials to the officer. He verifies it real fast, puts it on the table. It's all wiped down with bleach, disinfectant. Everything is wiped down, tagged and put to the side to be delivered. Now, in the mail side, parcel packages, again, we open it up in the presence of the inmate to verify, making sure, and we did confiscate, not necessarily contraband itself, but, family members sent in some syrup, mix and some other things that are not authorized.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things had to be confiscated from the package, from the parcel package. But other than that, on those two areas, nothing major.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the contraband, the other contraband, we have last week we've intercepted another another package was attempted to be thrown.
Good D, guys. Good interception. Pick
so
6.
We got that. Yeah, we intercepted that. Okay.
What about but you still haven't found who's responsible? It's
no. We've shored up some of our perimeter. We've put some fences on the exterior side. We've put more lights out there. If you pass by the prison, we've even put a little tower on one of the buildings there on the side, on one of the area where one of the officers stands on the outside. We put a second story. Increase the lighting on the rear end on the backside, and we were able to intercept. We've done a few shakedowns, and in that process, we found some contraband in some common areas.
More recently, Major, because I know that
just last week, I think it was. We did some over the weekend, shakedowns, and that's all standard business that we, do random shakedowns every now and then, right, just to clean up the house and make sure get rid of any nuisance contraband like cardboard boxes and other things they're not supposed to be having. And then we do come across some other contraband stuff that may be hiding, and they stash it in certain areas of the unit.
What kind of contraband, Major?
We found a cell phone, some Copenhagen cigarettes, lighters, just things that we normally find.
The usual.
Yeah, we normally it's a cat and mouse game back and forth trying to keep that stuff out of the prison, but we're doing our best to to keep it out as best we can.
Have there been any developments with those inmates and detainees who were busted, and then remember we had talked about some of them refused the test, some of them took it, the drug test?
Yeah, I mean they did meet with the warden and they went over some issues and concerns and what happened. Some of them did take the test. Others, didn't take the test. Some of them, I think, are still going through the ACC process, if I'm not mistaken. We've kind of, dealt with that as best we can, or it's still ongoing.
What about the health of the inmates? Any of them been getting sick and having any of the symptoms, or has there been any effort to test any of them?
Well, with regards to the COVID, no. As of now, we don't have anybody that has required any medical attention because of it. There has been talk about testing the entire population, and so
what kind of talk, Major?
Well, I know our director has sent an email. He has spoken with Mr. Norcy about it, and the issue becomes: do we have enough tests to test the 600 and some people that are in the prison? On my side, I'm going to be concerned about logistics, because when you test them, you have to isolate them for a certain amount of time. So if we have a housing unit that has about 80 people, and half want to take the test and half don't, because you can't force them to take a test.
Right.
Remember, we got to isolate them. So the other concern I'm going to be concerned about is, do we have enough space to move people around? Because we're going to have to isolate people. We're going to have to maybe open another unit and keep them separated.
Right, Major, let me cut in real quick here. Good morning. We're KUAM-FM in Aguon, Guam. Again, this is the KUAM News takeover of containing COVID. Good morning to our TV 11 viewers, where we have flicked the switch and we're now broadcasting live on KUAM-FM Aguon, Guam. On the line now, we have DOC's Major Antone Aguon, where we are currently behind the bars, but just for this phone call and talking with the Major. Go ahead, and we're actually talking about testing of the inmate and detainee population at the Manila compound.
Request has been made.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, again, in regards to testing, if we decide to test everybody, there's going to be some logistic issues we're going to have to work out as how do we properly separate them. especially when we don't have a lot of space. And then remember, we have detainees, we have inmates, we have max inmates, medium inmates, we have inmates that can't be around each other.
Right.
We have to keep them separated. They have conflicts and all these other issues that we would have to look at when we determine where we're going to house somebody and how we're going to do this. It's not undoable, but it's going to take some challenge to do it. So personally, I mean, we hadn't had any symptoms, and I think our protocols have been working to this point. So if, again, somebody develops symptoms, we have a procedure in place on how to address it. If they do decide to test them, again, that would be beyond my call.
Right.
We would just have to work out the logistics of how
And
to
is
do
that
it.
what's happening now, Major? Is you guys are kind of looking at, like you said, what you got to do if we are going to end up testing the population?
Yes, because we'll have to separate them. I mean, let's say, again, we got 80 people and only 40 want to be tested.
Right.
Well, I have to separate that 40 from the other 40, and I got to make sure they're, quarantined for 14 days away from everyone else
Right.
through insurance. So that's again, that's a challenge. So not undoable, but I guess we just have to try the best way to approach it. But for me personally, and again, right now we've been doing well, and no one has tested positive. I mean, no issues with it. I'm sorry, and I think we can stay the course for now and see how it goes. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet, but I think we're a lot better off today than where we were back in March.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to follow up on something, and this was pre-COVID, and we had talked about it. We've done stories about it, and this was under the previous DOC director, Samantha Brennan, and it was about the grant funding. I think it was from the Department of the Interior that the Department of Corrections received for to come up with, I believe, a plan to modernize, I think, the prison.
Yeah, the development and creation of a master plan.
Right. Whatever happened to that? We still have this grant funding in place, or is
yes,
it?
we still have the grant. What we did was we requested for an extension of the grant, and so we were granted an extension until next year.
Okay.
We moved forward with it. The contract is under review at the AG's office now for that, and so once that's done, it'll be pushed out, I believe, to the next signatures on that, and eventually go to the governor for her signature. But we are moving on that, and again, we were actually doing it prior to the COVID, but then when the COVID hit, it kind of slowed everything down a little bit because the AGs worked on limited staff and everyone was kind of away from the office.
Right.
But we are still moving on it. The grant does not expire until next year.
When next year?
At this point, it expires around February. I believe February of next year, but we've already been in communication with the grantor, and they understand the situation with the COVID, and so if we needed to go farther, we write them a letter and we explain our circumstances and outline what has taken place and what has been the holdup, and they've been very good to us as far as extending the grant.
Yeah, it's just like extension number 3 or 4?
About 3.
Yeah, they're like, hey, as long as you guys keep extending, we don't got to give you the money. So
yeah.
And how long has it been at the AG's office?
Just about a few weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But again, they're working to limited staff too, so
they're back open. They should be, I thought.
Yes, but I know they're trying to still maintain that social distance, and I think some may be working from home and still trying to keep the office at a bare minimum. So.
Yeah.
Major, I know we had spoke earlier about this health insurance choice thing, and you haven't used your insurance, which I thought was kind of interesting. But you were saying that there are some grumblings with some of the other officers about lack of choice and the problems they've been having.
Well, we've had a few officers a little upset about it, especially those that have some serious medical issues, medical concerns, and they really need it for them or their family. A lot of it, just getting referrals. Some of it is just reimbursement, having to pay up front and pay some of their medical bills out of pocket before they wait for the reimbursement. But I've been fortunate enough not to use my insurance, so we've been okay. But yeah, there are some that have some issues and concerns.
Right. And so is this something that they have eyes on, you think, as this bill's on the session floor this week?
I think a lot of them are interested in it if there's choice. I mean, choice is always, if you look at it, when we did the insurance before, when we had the different carriers, we would meet with individual representatives from the company and go over the plan. Each plan was usually different, unique, from the other. And sometimes it's good because if you have family issues or certain medical conditions that you have a concern about, you can see which plan will cover you best in that area. When you only have one insurance company that says, here, take it or leave it, here it is, you really got no choice sometimes. You just got to take it.
Right.
And it may not be what you need, or it doesn't offer what you need in regards to your family medical issues.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, the other side of it is cost, right? I mean, that's the other issue they're trying to say is the cost, because even if you have 3 plans, if you can't afford it, then it's just not a plan at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand both sides. You want to maintain the cost, so you don't want the government employees having to pay a lot, especially for those that don't have the financial backing to do that right away. But I guess we're just going to have to see how it plays out. I saw them. I briefly watched some of the hearing yesterday.
Right.
They were discussing it. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm very fortunate that we've not had to use that.
Right.
I've took advantage of the dental plan, but not necessarily the medical side.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. So the bottom line is they kind of feel like they want to have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's good to go in there and see what is available from the different carriers and pick what best fits their family.
Mm-hmm. You know,
That's the whole bottom line.
I wanted to talk about overtime because we interviewed Robert Koss from the Guam Federation of Teachers earlier this week to get an update on the lawsuit that they plan to file, and he did indicate that it's not just going to be about double pay but overtime. And some of the plaintiffs are people that have signed up were from the Department of Corrections because they still haven't been paid overtime. How far behind is DOC?
We actually paid 3 pay periods.
You sure about that, Major?
Yeah, we were like 5 behind. We paid 3. I think we have 2 more that are pending, and they are working on that. So hopefully that will be paid out soon. I can't say when, but I know the admin staff are working on that. But yeah, we paid it. They normally don't. I think it was like 2 Fridays ago maybe that they paid the. Not last Friday, but the previous Friday, where they paid, I believe, 3 pay periods of overtime.
Okay.
I would have to double check. I think it was about 3. That's what I mean. I don't make overtime, and I don't get any checks, but I believe it was about 3 paychecks.
Okay.
Yeah,
and how far behind though? I mean, 3 out
at
of
the time. I believe we were 5 pay periods behind.
Oh, okay. So you still
So about 2 behind.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And so I mean, it's the overtime period has always been. I've been again DOC 26 years, and we've always had this issue with overtime, and
That doesn't make it okay, though, Major.
yeah, I know, and we all wish it was a lot more on time,
Right. Yeah.
quicker to get paid, but we do work as fast as we can when there's money available to pay it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Major. Hey, and we'll check in with you again. As always, every week, once a week, we go behind bars. I'm good after that. So we'll get you on again next week, Major.
Okay, sir.
Thank
No
you,
problem.
sir. Wash your hands.
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. And let's keep it on the phones. I wanted to bring her on